Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we'll be talking about Family Empire Houston, Season 1, Episode 6.
Listen, thank you to everybody who offered a happy birthday to my wife.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for giving us the patience to release this episode just a couple days a little late. We had to celebrate the birthday woman next to me. You feel me?
Yes.
But in the meantime, I need y'all to subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. Yes, my energy's kind of low. I did a lot this weekend, okay? But I'm going to rev it up. Trust me. I'm going to rev it up. You ready, Blair?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
All right. So we're still at the rodeo roundup.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about how to build on the land and what way they want to build on the land.
Mm-hmm.
Aunt Nikki says, well, let's just dead this whole conversation right now. I am Granny's real estate agent, and we're not going to have all these people with their hands in the pot at the moment.
You know what's funny? Bubba was over there giving his 2 cents.
He sure was.
And I'm like, wait a minute. You got a broken, blended family. You get what I'm saying? So I don't know why he's giving his 2 cents. You lucky that we allow you to the events, really, to be honest. But that's just my opinion.
I mean, he know when to speak up and when not to, don't he?
Man.
So, Aunt Joy came to talk to Keisha and said that, we haven't really talked like that. Let's just kind of put things on the table so we can move on.
Okay.
Joy told him to get a blood test when he said that Keisha's mother was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, she was, the daughter of Bubba.
Mm-hmm.
Keisha experienced negativity, she says, from both Joy and her dad. Nothing really to where they were necessarily mean to her, but the way she explained it, it kind of was probably like just the energy in the household.
Yeah.
And Joy explains to Keisha that she wasn't upset with her. It was just something that I guess she and her husband had decided on something about Keisha before Keisha came. To me, the way it was reading was like y'all had basically decided not to include her in y'all's lives because she didn't come around until she was 7.
That sounded crazy, right?
Yeah, it's like, well, it was something me and my husband decided, and
Mm-hmm.
you came around, and that's just something we had to get used to.
Mm-hmm.
And she was saying how someone in the family should have paid attention to their own household because they had an outside child instead of worrying about what me and my husband were doing. So Keisha explains to her that, we were kids though. And Nicole and her sister Monet comes over and she's like, we were the children in the situation. Like I was hurt and we shouldn't have, had to endure or notice any ill feelings towards us. And Joy was like, well, I was hurt as well. And I don't feel like I should have had to gone through that either. And Nicole chimes in for her mom and says that her mom didn't ask to be in this situation.
Hey, Nicole.
And Keisha says, well, your mom didn't have to stay.
Well, Nicole, stay in a child's place. I don't care how old you are. You are the child in this situation. So this whole thing of, well, my mother was hurt too and things of that. Like, first of all, the fact that Keisha is expressing how hurt she was and how she held on to that even at her big grown age. And for Joy, who's at a bigger age, be like, I was hurt too. And I didn't ask for this either. Well, you kind of stayed. Yeah. So I don't understand the whole, when you accept the man, right? The man, Bubba, Frank, whatever his name is, right? You got to accept everything that comes with the man.
Right.
So the fact that y'all had some type of agreement, I don't know what the agreement is, so I ain't going to put words in your mouth. But the energy that I felt from that agreement, it felt like something happened to where somebody went back on their agreement. And you feel some type of way about that. Your words.
Right.
And then now you're trying to do a little game of semantics with a side of lies, talking about really, I wasn't mad at you. I was never mad at you. I was mad at the family member who had their own situation talking about me as if they're perfect. I'm like, what are we talking about here? Yeah. You get what I'm saying?
No, I totally agree with Keisha in the situation. I'm just like, yeah, we were the children. We shouldn't have been able to feel or be a part of whatever hurt or backlash you were experiencing. And for Nicole to come in talking about, well, my mom was hurt in the situation as well. Well, Keisha's right. She decided to stay, being that she's going to stay with somebody who had 2 girlfriends, because it wasn't an outside situation, which we learned. Someone who had 2 girlfriends, who had 2 children at the same time. Then you should, at least in my eyes, be willing to accept all that person's kids.
Yeah.
He has another child. But it sounded like when Joy, and this could be me reaching, but it sounded like Joy wanted to get married to him and have their own little family, and whatever he had with the other lady was something that she was trying to ignore until a family member was like, no, I want Keisha, our niece, to be involved in our life in the family because she is family as well. Yeah. So you don't just get to ignore other people's kids. Like, why would you even want to be with somebody who's ignoring their child?
Exactly. So. And then on top of that, when you marry the person, that doesn't mean it's a clean slate to where everything that happened before that is just erased. That's not how it works.
Right. So Chris and Quita, they go out to grab some food. They invite Keisha and her girlfriend Caramel to join them. And Quita is just asking about Caramel's upbringing, saying that she really hasn't gotten a chance to get to know her, so she wants to know her a little bit more. Yeah. So Caramel is from San Diego, but she's been living in Texas for about 10 to 12 years, and she got into real estate while she was in Texas, and she was just kind of pretty much better able to have like a better life for herself in Texas. Okay. So Quita brings up how they both have children from previous relationships. So she's just like, so how did y'all decide that y'all was done with the D? And Caramel was like, I never said that. I went from real to plastic. So Keisha talks about the situation with Aunt Joy and how she wanted to kind of come to Keisha to share her piece and then apologize. But the conversation became people needed to mind their own business, and Quita automatically figured out that it was her mom, which is Aunt Jackie, because she was the only one who had like a outside child situation during the time and who was married at the time. And the thing is, Quita and her sister Misha, like, they knew about their sibling. The sibling would come around all the time. And so they felt like with Jackie, their mom, like, why wouldn't she, also bring her niece around? So, well, Keisha talks about how she didn't like being excluded from photos, like when I guess it would be like Bubba, Joy, Nicole, and Monet, like they would just have photos of like them four and then tell Keisha to step to the side so we can get a picture with the family. Crazy. Which is crazy. Chris, we learned, has a child from a previous relationship, and Quita said that she would never exclude Chris's child from a family photo.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. That sounds crazy. I have nothing to add to that.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, like, those are the things where Keisha's saying, like, she wasn't really mean to me, but telling me to step aside so that just them four can be in a picture, like, that's hurtful.
And that's things that you remember.
Yeah. So Nicole goes to get her hair done by her sister, and Monet is talking to Nicole and was just like, I was trying to just ask about the beauty shop. Like, I'm the only one who does hair, and I just want to know if anybody else in the family has an interest in the beauty shop. She doesn't want them to fall through the cracks because everybody's worried about the land or other situations. And pretty much Nicole is just like, she didn't tell her sister this, but she told us in the confessional, like, Granny already has a plan in place for the businesses, including the beauty shop, everything except the land. So that's why we're focused on the land. So I don't know if maybe Monet hasn't been told, but sound like Granny already got a plan for everything else.
Sounds like it too.
Yeah.
And it sounds like she actually has a plan for the land too, but true. What is her name? Misha?
Yeah.
Misha has, she has a plan too, which is Granny is respecting.
Right.
She said, I'm going to drag my feet. I'm going to see what you bring to me, but I have a plan with this land, and I have my for sale sign in the trunk.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So Nicole says, like, look, when it comes to Keisha's and Aunt and their mother and all that type of stuff, she feels like they can't change the past. Maybe they shouldn't even be talking about the past. Yeah. But Keisha wants to know why she popped up around the family when she was 7 years old. And Nicole wants them to be able to talk about things, but she wants them to be able to do it in a place of healing and not just kind of like gossiping or stirring up new issues, of really trying to get to the bottom of it so they can move past it.
Okay, that makes sense.
So we go to Misha, her mom Jackie, Aunt Cheryl, and Aunt Charlotte. They're all at Misha's house getting ready for the monthly family gathering. Looks like they're preparing food to cook and all that type of stuff. Yeah. So they still didn't like Misha's comment about them being out for a payday. And then so she apologized for that. She knows she has to be respectful of her aunts and everything, and her elders. Quita called Misha and told her what Keisha said about Joy's comments about their mother being basically meddling in their business. Yeah. And so Misha brings that up to them while they're prepping the food. And Charlotte says that Joy doesn't realize the impact that her saying these things could cause between you guys and Nicole, talking about Misha, Quita, and Nicole. Apparently Keisha stayed with Jackie. Like, Jackie would pick her up and bring her to her house so she could play with her cousins and get to know her family. And the reason that she would do that is because they were all around the same age. So other people weren't going to pick up Keisha around that time because she was like she said, like, she just wanted them to be able to play with her children. So they touch on again how the uncle had 2 girlfriends at the time. Nobody was a wife. Misha wanted to know, why did y'all pick Keisha up? And they're like, that's our niece. Why would we not try to get to know our niece? That's our family, just like Nicole's our niece and Monet's our niece. Like, you're our niece. Like, we love you and we want to get to know you. And we weren't raised to ignore our family. Yeah. And they were actually surprised by how Bubba was ignoring his daughter for about 7 years because that's not how they were raised.
I have a question, because this is how, for one, it's a lot of mess. Apparently there's the men in Texas be having side children all the time, apparently, based on what I'm reading here, right? Yeah. I wonder, was it in their right to do what they did when they saw that Bubba wasn't doing his thing as a father? Meaning bringing his kid around their niece so she can meet her other sisters and family and things like that.
Were they probably crossing boundaries? Yes. Okay. But I feel like it was the right thing to do. In a situation like that, I think that's okay where you cross a boundary, because if you want them to know that you have family, even if your dad's not involved, we still love you and we still want to be a part of your life. That's a boundary that I think people should be willing to cross.
Willing to cross, even right or wrong.
Exactly.
Even if that's my niece by marriage or like whatever, like at the end of the day, that's my niece, that's my family. I want her to be around. Yeah. I agree. So I'm not just playing devil's advocate. I agree with that. But I'm now starting to see why Keisha's wires is so tangled and her emotions are so tangled, because this is such a confusing situation. There's a saying that says a fish rots from the head down. You get what I'm saying? So there's confusion amongst the sisters, the aunties, and things like that when it starts with Frank crossing the boundaries and things like that. Now there's confusion of, I'm at the photo shoot but I'm not in the picture. Like, it's just like I'm in the picture, then I'm out the picture, then I'm taking the picture. It's just a whole bunch of confusion. So I can understand how Nicole can say Keisha's family, like, that's my sister, but I don't think Nicole was even aware enough at that small age what it's like to have someone pick you up from your other house to bring you over, not even to your father's house. Right. Dude, you get what I'm saying? It's one thing. So you're part of the family, but you're really not part of the...
Because they were saying at a certain point, like, Keisha wasn't allowed over their house.
Exactly.
And that's why she would bring Keisha to her house. And she was like, it's not like I was bringing her into their household. This is what I wanted to do in my household with my niece.
But you can imagine, you're bringing me over to be part of the family, but yet I'm still not part of the family because I'm not at my dad's house.
I'm still not with my dad. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? My sisters. Now I'm with strangers. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I have to learn y'all, as well as, like, okay, I'm sure somebody told me who my daddy was, or maybe not. But at the same time, I can imagine how people can say, I don't know why she feels this way. She always been around, but semantics. She's been around, but she wasn't allowed in her father's house. Right. So at the same time, she wasn't around, and she could still feel like she still can feel on the outside while people are still trying to include her on the inside.
Right. It's like I get to be at the monthly family gatherings, but every other weekend I'm at my auntie's house instead of spending time with my dad and my sisters. Exactly. Yeah. Not to say that, maybe that changed over time and she got to spend the night at her dad's house, but there was a period which I feel probably did impact her to where she was like, I think the most, I'm with y'all, but can I see my dad? And they're just like, no.
No, we can't do that. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Because of that boundary that we cross. Even though it's for the good, we're doing something that Bubba didn't approve or wanted to do.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, Granny's driving.
Scary.
And they get to, I think it was like their event space that they go to and wipe down chairs and move chairs around and stuff like that. So Granny does not want the family to fight. She says it's too much, it's too many opinions, and she doesn't think that anyone should be involved in this decision if this is how it's going to be handled. So she's at the point to where she wants to get everything ready for sale because she doesn't like all of this discourse happening. And I agree with Granny. I mean, it's your land. It's your decision. I did like Misha's idea, but at the same time, like, I think that's probably why a lot of people leave things in their will, because I ain't about to argue with you about what I want to do and who I want to give it to. It's going to be in the will, and that is what it is. And y'all can't argue with me because I'm up out of here. So Misha and Quita meet with the Sheltons to discuss the plans for the lot. They actually like drew something up, have a presentation, and have the numbers ready for them. So she was informed that Granny changed her mind and that she wants to sell the land, but as a good and true salesperson, Misha isn't taking no for an answer. Not
even from my own Granny.
She's like, I'm gonna get this thing together and I'm gonna present it to Granny, and then we'll say what she really has to say.
Wow.
So she understands that the conversation was too much at the rodeo roundup, but she is going to stay the course to give the official pitch.
Okay.
So they have the presentation to where they are getting information about building it to selling it, and then they find out that they'll pretty much make the same amount of money if they were to build on the land versus not building on the land. So currently it's not adding up.
No, because if I sell it, I'm gonna make the same amount of money as if I was to rent it out.
And I spent all that money investing in houses and all this type of stuff. So the rent prices are going to be lower than the sales prices, and that is something that's going to be an investment that they would reap the benefits of long term.
Yeah.
But if they do a hybrid model with the mixed community, they think that it's going to be cumbersome during the selling process because you're trying to convince one person to buy a home when the home right next to them is for rent. And they're just like, well, why am I buying in a place where I can get it at a cheaper price or have no commitment? As well as some people don't want to be living in a place where there's like a lot of traffic of different people coming in and out because of the rental space.
Yeah.
So the pitch isn't looking that great.
No.
So Misha has asked them to kind of rework some numbers, kind of go through it a little bit more to see if she can present something a little bit better to Granny.
Basically, let's cook the books for me. And Misha, your plan is falling apart, and I say blame Nicole. You get what I'm saying? I say blame Nicole, but I don't blame her as a bad person. But I'm just saying, like, we didn't even have to have this whole thing at the event. To where everybody had their own opinion. I think Misha need to invest in something else to prove her worth to the family. I understand, because when they talk about long-term investing and renting, it is a long-term investment. But I'm talking long-term to the point where you may not see the fruits of that. Your children may not see the fruits of that. And the thing about legacy, which is a true thing, and also it's a false, because unless you have it in writing, let's say Blair is my child, right? I made you my child for this example.
Okay.
Right? If I own something and I say, you know what, I want this to stay in the family, and I die, and now my child is in charge of it, she has every right to sell it.
Right. She don't have to keep it. She
don't
have to keep it in the family.
So the only part of the legacy that matters is the part that you can control, unless you have it in writing.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And even then, that can get tricky. So that's why, like, when people pass on houses and pass down grandmama house and things like that, and they don't keep the maintenance up, they don't keep the thing up, they have to end up selling it anyway.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure, which is actually interesting. She needs to start investing in her kids now, even though they're little, of how important this is. This needs to be a family, and when I say family, not just the sisters, kids type of thing that is important, because what is important to her may not be important to her kids. Her kids may not. What if her kids may not even want to get into real estate?
Right.
And now they just like, we gotta manage this. We don't care about this. Just sell it and we just get the money. You get what I'm saying? To put towards what we want to do. I want to be a Twitch streamer.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? So it's like it's all tricky, but I understand and I respect Misha's motivation and her ambition.
Yeah. So Justin and Misha, they're getting the backyard ready and everything for the family event. And Misha is talking to Justin about how the presentation or the pre-presentation, getting things together, kind of looked. And she was like, we just kind of need to add in the fact that legacy is priceless.
Oh no, there's a price to legacy. Don't get twisted. Don't get it twisted. There's a price to legacy.
Right. So everyone is coming. Everyone's arriving. Everyone except for Granny. So then this is the perfect time for us to broach the conversation about Aunt Joy and her comments about Aunt Jackie. Yeah. So they decided they're going to hash it out in this moment.
Yeah, Granny ain't here. We fighting today, y'all.
So Misha brings up the conversation, and Nicole says that, and mind you, Frank is there. But he ain't at the table. He knows where to be and where not to be. Okay. So Nicole says that there was hurt on a lot of people's part, and a lot has changed since then. Misha says that there was a particular statement that was said about my mom and meddling. And Keisha says, well, someone should have been worried about, their own household instead of her household. And Keisha is the one who released, that's what was said. Yeah. So Aunt Jackie didn't think she was being disrespectful to Joy. She was just thinking about Keisha. Honestly, that's what all the adults should have been thinking about is Keisha.
So hold on, let me take that back. Her father should have been thinking about Keisha. True. So before I even involve the aunts, which I don't know if they're just related by marriage or like whatever. I don't know whose sister they is. I don't know if they sister to Joy or sister to
they're all Frank's sisters.
They're all Frank's sisters.
Yeah, so, they're Oscarine's daughters.
Okay, there we go. So Frank's sisters. So whole time before we even put it on his sisters to take up that cross to bear, guess who should have been thinking about his daughter? Frank. But let's start there. You get what I'm saying?
So she explained, I brought Keisha to my house. I didn't cross any boundaries in that sense of bringing this child to their house. So Joy and Bubba had to work out whatever they had to work out on their end. And Monet said, it's just with my mom, she wanted her husband to handle it and he wasn't handling it.
Hey, Monet, stay in a child's place.
Keisha says that if he wasn't told to pick me up, he probably wouldn't have even done it. And Joy was like, how did you know he wasn't going to do it?
Because you're 7.
Exactly, because I'm 7 years old and I don't know nobody. And it took my aunt to come get me.
Exactly. And now that even makes more sense, because if that's my brother, right, that's one thing if I'm meddling and this is my brother-in-law, but no, that's my brother, right? So basically I took on the role of better, we was raised better, things like that. I'm gonna bring her, and I'm gonna respect you enough to not bring it over to your house, but she's gonna know us at least. Yes. In a way to kind of force his hand to be like, hey, I promise you, there probably was times to where when Keisha was over there, she got on the phone with her brother, was like, your daughter over here, and stuff like that, if you want to see your daughter. So it's just this whole idea that Bubba's in the house and Bubba's not, he hear his name. he hears it. He hears them talking about him, and it just seems like what's going to happen is some wounds got to get treated correctly now. I think with Keisha, she's been doing a good job of keep putting band-aids on it, but it's deep enough to where she needs stitches. Yes. You get what I'm saying? And the only time to actually fix it is to address it directly and to address the fact that, hey, you did not do your part as a father, right? And Joy, even though you're not quote unquote related in that way as in by blood, you did not do your part as a wife of his to open your house up to get to accept all of him. You get what I'm saying? And it does come off as if I was to put a little 2 cents on it, that Joy didn't want to know that, baby.
I feel the same way.
Joy did not want to know that, baby. Even whenever Keisha speaks of the situation, Joy rebuttal is always, I ain't want to be in that either. I ain't asked for that either. It's hard. It's hard for me too. And I'm just like, but you're the adult though. Yeah. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with what you said. Yeah. I think that honestly, Frank needs to get out there, apologize to people, try to rectify some things. But seem to me that he ain't the type that's going to be able to do that.
Nah.
So they really do need to learn how to, you know, kind of forgive him and move on, but it's not going to be easy. So
I think Keisha don't hold a grudge against her father.
No.
I think the forgiving part. Here's the thing. I think the forgiving part is already there when it comes to her father and her, but there needs to be. I don't know if he asked for forgiveness. It's kind of weird.
No, I don't think he would.
I think she forgave him.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I don't think there's no type of like I'm going to, for one, address it and undress it. You get what I'm saying? Of this is what I did. So I wonder, can you forgive someone? And like I'm sure you can, because we all have before. I'm sure we all forgave somebody without them asking for forgiveness.
Right.
But if we want to be honest, it would be a lot easier if they just ask for forgiveness. And some things, without me having to deal with it and try to heal it myself, will heal on its own if the person asks for forgiveness, besides me saying I'm just gonna forgive them. I'm just gonna leave it alone. But
it would be nice if Joy took a little bit of accountability in whatever her part was. But it seems like because Frank did the deed, she doesn't want to be responsible for anything, which I understand. But at the same time, you married him and you participated in making her feel like an outsider.
Facts.
So yeah.
Anything else?
That's all I got.
Let me know what y'all think in the comments about this. This was a good episode for me. I can't wait for part 2 of next week or whatever happens with them. Bubba get to speak finally.
Yes.
And we will see what he has to say. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. We see you then.
Bye.